I've been told, because I haven't been to a Jabberwocky, I have to admit, is I can sometimes prime the pump with a story here, and then I actually brought some IndyCog t-shirts.
Ooh, that's what we write about.
To incentivize people to tell a story about bicycling. And we'll go through all the t-shirts I have until I'm out. So with that said, I just really quickly wanted to talk about how, I started bicycling, and maybe it will inspire you to come up with a story. I'm going to run the gamut, I won't be too long. But like most people, I learned how to ride a bike when I was a kid, and that gave me that freedom. Do you guys remember that freedom you first got? Because up to that point, you're under the tutelage of your parents' eye constantly. And I grew up in a first-ring suburb of Gary called Miller Beach. And the neat thing about Miller Beach was relatively undeveloped, so it's in the Indiana Dunes, if you guys have been up there before. And we would ride all over the place. And as you get older, you ride further and further away, and you don't know how far, if you guys remember this, how far you can actually ride. Because now parents are like, you can go a block. I don't know if you guys have seen those studies that show that people, 100 years ago, a kid could travel about 7 miles from his house. And then in the 1950s, it moved to about 5 miles. And by the 1970s, it was down to 3 miles. And in the 1990s and 2000, they say 3 blocks. It's like 3 blocks. A kid's allowed to travel about 3 blocks from his house in general. But when we were kids, so we'd go on these rides, we're 5 or 6 miles from home, and we'd see my father drive by. And then when we got home, we didn't get in trouble, so we knew we could at least go 5 miles from home, and then the next time we'd push it. And to be honest with you, we got caught constantly. Or he drove by and wasn't paying attention, which is possibly it, so who knows. And then, like most people, I kind of probably stopped riding when I got a car, right? And then I picked riding up in college again and started racing competitively, and then moved to Chicago and drank a lot and started smoking too, I have to admit, and gained a lot of weight. But I still rode around the city because driving sucks in a big city like that. So I got transferred to Texas, which you don't ride a bicycle in Texas. It's kind of dangerous in Dallas. And when I moved to Chicago, I got transferred back to Chicago. I started riding the bike again, and from there I was hooked again. That was probably in my early 30s. I've done tours of Ireland, tours around the United States. I ride to work every day. And again, it's really weird, even now at 45 years old, 44, I've got another week. It's still a sense of freedom. I don't know why that is. You think getting in a car would be a bigger sense of freedom, but somehow propelling yourself on a bicycle is a much bigger sense of freedom. And even on occasion, someone might yell at you or do something, it's pretty exciting, all right? Like it makes you feel alive. How often do you get yelled at? Well, okay, depends how bad you drive. You might get yelled at all the time. But it's still kind of exciting, right? You get to work, you're all jacked up on adrenaline, you don't need a coffee. So, So that's why I like bicycling, if that makes sense. And I'm sure that you guys all have stories. We don't care if you tell us about when you're riding when you were a kid, or riding as an adult, or that fight you got in college in 17th with somebody on your bike. I like to hear those stories. I have a few of them, I'm sure. Anybody that knows me well, I've got some adrenaline issues. So please, anybody ready for a story? Anybody want to tell a story about bicycling?